Pistol round. We're ready to get started into it. Order on the attacker side and Fancy United on the defenders.
Double elimination throughout this tournament, so nobody is going to be going home, but it is going to be awesome to start the competition strong. And it's a relatively set default. They are sitting just outside A for now, but it's actually a bit of quick movement to try and get this orb towards A long.
Yeah, a couple of these Astral Stars on the floor at the moment that might be a little bit of a holder to what Order wants to try and throw on out. I love the fact that Yes I Can it has brought the fragment in toward this pistol round as well, just to buy a little bit of extra time, some chip damage on to the opponents as well. But the mid pressure at the moment, Fancy United are covering all the bases around the map.
Look at the slow start. This is exactly what I'm talking about, right? They're rotating back towards mid, but you can just see for the entirety of the round so far, Texter and Ronsky have sat inside tiles waiting to see if there's any aggression, but Fancy United, they've just been chilling.
And Texter's starting to prod in towards B main at the moment. It is Suka, the newest addition to Fancy United. Just looking at the moment, does have the Haunt available as well if he does choose to use that. But here's that massive rotation starting to group around the B side. But Nizzy, beautiful opener.
Yep, straight away with the rendezvous as well. And now it is going to be that pressure. Dark cover in towards market. Now the explosivity is going to start to make its way out. The paranoia was thrown, but Fisio, he's just going to be waiting, hearing all the sound. But it is going to be Suka back of the site inside the boat shed. Will he be parked or moving in? That's really aggressive. Ronsky, I don't think he got spotted there. Fisio ready for it. RDW does manage to take Suka, but now it's going to be a real tough post plant in the 3-on-4.
Yeah, and a little bit of a late alert to come through from Heisey potentially out the back of tiles, but it's this one from Maple that needs to go huge. He's got 3 bodies in this main position and the shots don't work out. Taken down by Fisio now. It's the 2-player disadvantage, but a sharp shot out from RDW. They need to hold down onto the site.
That's 2 for RDW already. Texter in a good position. Does get spotted out by the knife point there, but now waiting. Swinging around the side. RDW is tucked. He needs more. Needs to find these shots. Spotted out. Can't connect. He does get one. Now Texter, 1-on-1. Heisey and Texter, who will take the first round here of VCT. We'll see it. The LCQ sticking the defuse, but he does get off. Moving away. Will they spot each other? Texter gets the connection. Order open up with the pistol.
Looks a little bit risky though, doesn't it? In the 2 versus 4, the challenge out from RDW. A couple of the shots do whiff, but at least got his one in there. And Texter ever so patient to go in for that retake in the end. A half defuse from Heisey. You're always going to wonder what if it was stuck, but regardless, the round does go over to Order. A pistol round on the attacker side is great for them.
Absolutely, and just the composure to start off so far from RDW. You know, we're seeing him be very much pushed and pulled around all these different agent selections, right? Coming from the side. No, actually, take that one further back. The Rays, the early days of the Rays, the Judge hopping, skipping around, moving then more to the Sentinel, the Cypher, Chamber was perfect, but now to see him onto the KO, big things to start. So him and Texter, awesome start for this map.
And this is something that I'm always interested in. What does the second round kind of look like, specifically when you're bringing in 2 smoke agents, right? What time do you have that you can like purchase for yourselves, you can buy for yourselves? And right now, it's apparently nothing. It's just a fest of frags over at this A site. 1 back for Heisey, and that's pretty much all she wrote. But Fisio, yeah, we'll get some extra damage in the end. You're okay with 2 frags in a round such as this.
A little bit too much there, I feel like they've lost. Fisio on the other side of the dark cover. He will be punished, he will be taken. A little bit shaky though, because I was going to say the utility usage from Order there was perfect, but then there was a slight amount of hesitation, maybe just waiting for the spike to rotate around, but I feel like that was maybe a little bit of a sign of shake there. Hopefully, the bonus plays well. They've got 3 to take into it here, but it's going to be all Vandals out and the Phantom 4 Fancy United. And again, you know, we've been hyping them up, right? As we said, just if you can't beat them, join them, take Suka over and see where he ends up slotting in. So really looking forward to seeing how this round does play out.
I'm really interested to see if Suka is going to kind of be the entry, the linchpin for this roster right now with how it is kind of molding in toward him, right? Because playing on this kind of duelistless roster of agents that they've got, anyone can kind of be the instigator of a lot of this, right? You can have a flex in Astra because of the autonomy that kit does provide you, a lot of information that Suka's going to be able to gather as well as Yes I Can. So around such as this, with the big Vandals, you need to see them holding down pretty much everything, and it is a great start. Heisey finds Ronsky to start off.
Yeah, Prowler off a little bit late there in that position, but again, look, it is the bonus. Heisey's very stuck though. They're actually going to be clearing around straight through market. Now it's going to be on to Nizzy. If he can hold this would be huge, but all alone on this site, the rotation such a far amount away. Texter, this is a good looking bonus so far, 4 on 3.
Did you hear that? We've already got the ultimate ripped out from RDW just to make sure no abilities, no possession that can get gathered back onto this B side. This is the bonus round coming on through in Order. They've got the site control. They've got a player advantage, and this is where the retake from Fancy United starts to come in. Will they choose to save, though? 3 rifles into the next round. It could be tempting if they don't find anything soon.
We can see the hesitancy already. They're nice and slow. The Prowler will go out to see if there is any further info gathered, but no. Now that creep. Straight through main, Haunt available up for Maple, can send that through, that should get some info, and it absolutely will. They can't even destroy it quick enough now, they've got it, Disco with 2, and it's all onto Suka. This could be 3 alive, but no, Suka's going to do some damage, however, no time, he runs out, and it's going to be a 3rd round for Order. What a start!
Yeah, it'll shift to exits for him now as well. If you can take away these rifles from Order, it'll be really good. Padding of his stats as well, there's 3 frags in the mix, and at least Disco's going to escape the spike explosion in the end. But that does ultimately mean the bonus round goes to Order. We heard from Crema, if Order are able to start off with, 5 rounds, they're going to be so comfortable going into the remainder of this map, and they've already won that bonus round, which usually is that one that kicks you into overdrive.
So we've been casting Australian FPS titles for a long time, right? One thing, momentum. It is huge. It is always going to be that driver, and Coach Dick Stacey, he's here this time. He's going to be standing behind the boys, he's going to be giving them all the tips, and that, I think, is going to be a massive factor to keep that momentum behind them, because if they do start to lose it, that's where it all does really start to fall apart, right? So we need to see that from Order real hot and strong, because again, Fancy United, they're a nasty, nasty roster, and that is a very forthcoming teleport there to come out from Fisio straight down to the hand of Disco.
And that was the play with the bucket as well. So with that down and dusted, that's going to be a little bit unfortunate. Ronski also now taken out a 5 HP off this engagement. It's looking 4-4, but with the lesser HP, the operator going to have to change it up a little bit with these challenges. But I love this. Just the fallback from Disco, the overextension potentially from Fancy United, but it is a 1-to-1. They're keeping it interesting in this round.
Yeah. That's a Vandal being recovered as well. Now the Paranoia to come out through short. They are pushing their way in. Will they clear it? They know exactly where he is, and he just has to be cautious. The flank is coming in from Bronski, and Tex will make quick work of him. So that's going to be the site secured. Mid control now from Nizzy. Walking on up. Heisey not too far away, but still should be an easy hold down here for Order.
And you got to remember, this is essentially one of those eco rounds from Fancy United, just to make sure that they have a little bit to work with in case they can get some frags, get themselves started. But if they don't, they've got the weaponry in the next round. And coming into that 4th, it's ultimate territory where everybody is about one away. You start to get those online as well, and they can really be round defining. But the question I pose is, if Fancy United are getting their first round on the board, relying on ultimates, what do they look like when they don't have them?
Yeah, for sure. A lot of pressure is going to fall into this next round, doing as much damage as possible here as Nizzy does creep on in. Will spot Ronski. Great damage. That's the operator secured as well. RDW will make quick work of Heisey, but look, 2 alive. I mean, it's still great, but Nizzy's done a whole lot of damage here. Might want to just try and take away this operator if he can, or the Vandal. Yeah, they might all go down. Texter does manage to secure it. I think they've just got enough time.
Yeah.
All good. Operator secured.
Operator retrieved indeed for Ronski to have at it again with where he wants to. But yeah, a brilliant start for Order, 4-0. This is going to be, one of the really big challenges, right? As I mentioned, for Fancy United, this defensive side, now is the time to really get back in toward this game. Those ults, we've got 2 on board, we've got 3, 1 away. These can be absolutely defining for this next round. And if we see Fancy United, able to find the opening pick, like they've pretty much done so, a lot already in this matchup, but then those immediate trades from Order, that's something that needs to be the differentiator in this new round. For Fancy United, get that opening pick.
Look at the change, the pace, straight out. Immediately the Nightfall gets thrown in and the Haunt is there over the other side. However, Ronski does have to fall away, but From the Shadows has been utilised. Texter, they do know though. Fisio spotted him straight from the marked position. Now this is awkward. This is challenging, but that's going to be the showstopper coming in. Can he get it up? He can! The double up at Suka. He is there and Nizzy's going to be joining the fray as well. Suka, awkward line, but he's nuts at the game. 3 frags found, and Ronski, he's so far away from home.
And with an operator, this is going to be real risky. The Prowler's going to spot him, so now they know exactly where he is. They've heard the weapon. You can use the Headhunter here, but Nizzy's already on the line, and that's the closer. First round is on the board for Fancy United.
A moment of hesitation there, Komodo, as we talk about, right? Seeing Order stuck behind that dark cover, and even with Disco bouncing through with the satchel into market with the showstopper, and they still can't quite catch it, but Suka there, the one we've been talking about this whole time, steps up.
It was a really good read from Fancy United. Really great shifting over towards the market real early as well. And to punish Texter when the Nightfall comes in. You talk about all the revealance as well from that Haunt. Fancy United, they got the information straight away of what was happening on that round. And they adapted almost immediately to put a shutdown on toward that. I make mention again, we see ultimates come through from Fancy United. They've gotten 1 round on the board on the back of 1 of those ultimates. They've still got a lot they can throw into the mix here.
Absolutely. Operator obviously into the hands and Nizzy. Tour de Force did get the job done in the previous round, but it's going to be that utility sent over towards A, but however, it is still that same position. We've got Ronski, we've got Texter waiting outside the tiles, and they're not going to be going in just yet. Haunt does get info. Yes, I can gets it, but obviously that null command has been popped, so that might keep them at bay for just a second, but Ronski, he's picked up 1 in mid at the exact same time. Second for Ronski. Nizzy gets taken down, and now it's a 3-on-5.
He's hungry. He wants more. You know that he is very powerful from doing so, and there's his 3rd one. All headshots as well. The ACS keeps going up. from our star player in Order, and now's the time for them to not fall over their own feet. A 5 versus 2, a big shot from Suka, however, and he might be able to find another one here. Yes, I can catch his Texter in the back of the head, and now this is where it starts to get a little bit awkward. You go from a 5 versus 2 to a 2 versus 3, now in a post play.
These are the rounds that can never happen. They have to make sure they hold onto it right now. Maple obviously down only onto that Spectre. Flash drive is available. We'll send it up. That will keep them back for just a second. Also, Haunt, further info as well, up towards the top. Perfect stuff. They're going to be held just for a little while longer. Love this aggression, though. Popping up. RDW Maple, they are forward. We'll take down Yes I Can. All left onto Suka. Maybe one more left in him, but with that wall broken, they know exactly where he is, and he can just sort of try play out the rest of this round for at least one and done. Good shots. He's sharp, man. Yeah. They've got to be careful about this guy.
So 5 versus 2, down to a 2v0 in the end. Order secure the round. They do have enough credits, of course, to reinvest into this next round, but they do have to be careful with rounds such as that. If you're giving a lot of control, a lot of space to Fancy United, that's their territory that they are going to make sure they have marked down and they have locked down in their own. So again, you need to really be careful if you are Order, and hopefully they are able to figure that out going forward from now on. But we start to get, towards that area that Order are looking good to at least secure a tie at the half, right? 5-1. We're looking what this new round is going to be for Fancy United. A little bit down with the weapon there for Heisey. Of course, no ultimate to come through from Nizzy, so he's going to be just onto that Vandal, which is absolutely fine. But this first start, Ronski, he needs to be real careful. And a Nightfall early, they want this B-main control, and they're going to get it.
They do at least get Texter, and look at this push from Physio as well. Exactly as you talk about leaving space, leaving territory, they've already got so much. Now Disco has to do a whole lot here. They do manage to force them away from the A side. Haunt gets info, but they're walking in. Maple, this is a bold strategy right now. Has to look around for the clear, but they've popped the null command. Where will they sit?
How far does Maple choose to go right now? It looks like they're not going to overlook him, or they are overlooking him, but it's only the 1-1, so it still is a difficult round from here on out for Order. A minute to play with. They don't need to go for this plant, but they're going to tap it on down. RDW's null command does expire, and we've got a 2 versus 2 now onto the 1 for RDW, and the flank was already coming through main. That was the 2-on-2 split between there and the glass being shattered, and for that round, it's shattered for Order.
That's the disconnect immediately, right? That's the push in where we can see from Fancy United, they're just going to go, okay, Order are leaving a space open, we're going to take that space. Straight in through, into the tiles, like compressing B main. How are you doing that 20 seconds into the round? It's awesome to see. So they managed to get the job done. They've got the early picks, and then all of a sudden it's Order back up against the wall, and their money is going to start to shake now. Those couple of rounds where we've lost a few members, it is really going to catch up on them very, very soon.
I wonder if this is the time that Dick Stacey or one of the boys intervenes and chooses to call a timeout, right? They've got them to be able to utilize just to put a pause on, have a little bit of a think, have a shuffle around what they're going to do, because a round after this, essentially their economy is reset, right? It's down towards those pistols that they're going to have to see what they can do. Ronski will have the tour de force coming in toward this round, so that could be very entertaining to be able to witness a big old play like we saw from Nizzy earlier on. But immediately, it's the same main control again from Order, seeing what space they can find, and the info push from Fancy United at B. They should have a bit of a read at the moment. You just need to be careful that Suka doesn't overextend himself.
Yeah, look, 4 members over towards B. They know that the lean is going that way, and at least the Nebula will give them some space, but they're ready to go. If they find Suka, it could be huge. He's only going to be battling just against the 1, but they've walked through solo. Disco not having any support from him at all. They've completely left it.
This is one of those weird states as well, because on that 1 pick, Order just choosing to bow out and go a different direction. They can't really go in towards B. They had no players there to gather information. As far as they're concerned, it's completely dirty territory at the moment. So the eyes are going back towards mid. They're going over to see if they can get a bit of a split out towards A, and then see maybe if Texter can push into B. He is the one with the spike on his back at the moment. False sense of security with that blade going on through. The 0 point not revealing him, but he's going to show himself.
No teleport either. So it's a little bit of an awkward situation. We do get to see the tour de force. Take down 1. Suka does get responded on towards, and now that rotation is here. We managed to see Texter join the rest of the party. Site will be secured, so Spike should get planted, but it is going to be a tough one in this 4-on-3 as Fancy do start to crush the walls in.
Yeah, it can be a bit of a quick flank up through short as well. You got Physio and Yes I Can coming from that direction. A lot of flash potential to throw in from that location as well. So as far as Fancy United are concerned, they don't need to go immediately into all this retake, but they're going to just start to do so with that null command pop. Nizzy finds Texter and makes it more difficult for RDW and for Ronski to hold this down. There is that wall as well, and all this utility coming through. RDW taken care of, but Ronski, he's going to line up 2, but Nizzy for the 4K in the end. This round is Fancy United's.
I'm going to say I'm a little bit worried. So so far, all right? Like, Order have the lead. Order came out strong. They came out swinging. But already, these last 3 rounds have looked so much more convincing from Fancy United. Just in that post plant, right? Sure, it was a 3v4. You know, they were at the disadvantage, but no one was set up for crossfires. Everyone was playing those individual 1v1v1 sort of situations, which just basically allowed them. And this opening pick that came in from Suka, like you see Disco just kind of walk through. What's the communications like? Are they listening to each other? And that, again, even though we see Order at a strong start, it is obviously, I guess, still a defender-sided map. Like, we'll put it that way. I'm really need to see more synergy.
So it's going to be one of those risks as well, trying to push through that nebula, isn't it? Because another star on the other end, that can be used as a grab well, and you're essentially stuck. And you combo that with Suka's ability of Prowler for information, of C's to lock you there with pretty much no HP as well. It can be a real deadly combination. And that's why we're kind of seeing Suka be by himself for one side of the map, because Fancy United are pushing the other area. And again, they've just done that straight in towards B main to get this control. Nizzy finds the opener. Suka backs it up onto Texter over at the other side. And it's just looking really great for Fancy United again.
Just the eco. Business as usual here for Fancy, making sure they keep everyone alive. Obviously, Tilt of Force will be utilised. Get those shots done. Mainly just about orb control, finding a little bit of damage, trying to destroy that economy. But look at Suka, look at Fisio, already all the way through. Again, choking them down. Great shot from Maple. And RDW does get one as well. Yeah, maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit of room for movement here. Fragment doesn't go far enough either. So that's going to make it really awkward. Now RDW can go for the swing. Yes, I can. Falls away. And now this position up towards short. They're just going to hold for a second, but Spike is in hand.
And they've stolen a couple of weapons from their fallen foes, right? Fisio, Suka, their guns are now in the hands of RDW, and was Disco, but he's been shut down by Yes I Can. Caught in a reload. This is where things get very, very scary. And Nightfall in from Order as well. Mizzy completely blinded off, and they're pushing for him. They are so hungry right now to overwhelm him, but they're going to line up, and they've given that one over to Fancy United.
Oh my god, you don't lose a 1v2. What is it? You throw a 2v1 or something like that, and they get way too tunnel vision trying to find Nizzy, and he has been absolutely fantastic on the chamber. 13-5 already.
Both times that Nizzy has had this tour de force, he's been the one to like open a round and shut down the round. It's been absolutely brutal
well, a
to come
4K
through.
Earlier, a 3K now. It's just been incredible from this guy.
13-5-1. Like, this guy's putting up a performance right now.
For sure. A good opportunity. At least seeing Order drag something back out of the dirt there with that eco round, you know, a few sheriffs. That's the thing, right? Order are an incredibly sharp bunch of individuals. But again, it's been Nizzy with this main control. He has been absolutely phenomenal time and time again, getting that support, making sure the utility goes in. We've been seeing the Paranoias actually be popped like straight off the bat to take that territory straight away, which is something I love about Valorant, right? It's a game where even on the defender side, taking control is such an important thing.
Something that I find really interesting as well, just while we've got this little time in lieu, right, was the fact that Order was somehow able to get really early behind Fancy United in that one to get those sheriff shots out, right? We talk about the space, we talk about the control that Fancy United have been finding themselves out in the map, but they leave a space in their own domain, and that's where Order are finding these punishments. They're finding those pressure points, and they're able to just put their thumb straight down on toward that one and make it feel good for themselves. So again, you know, that was just one of those eco rounds. They've showcased to us that they've still got, you know, damage as far as damage is concerned with whatever weaponry they've got, but now they've got the big boy guns, right? They got that operator back in the hands of Ronsky. They got the Vandals, Phantoms, what have you. This is go time, right? 5-4. Fancy United they're knocking at that door.
The time is now, and they are having that A main lean again. Yes, I can. Yet to throw the 0 point out. Let's go through, but he's not going to be able to find too much. Doesn't send enough, at least to send him packing for now. But that's going to be Texter straight up short. That's Suka taken down, and now it's all onto these two members.
Do they pause though? Yeah, it's looking a little bit awkward. The Paranoia went through as well, but it's a fragment to get this. I was going to say, is it the time for Order to settle down, or is it to go? And it looks like they want to try and go, but they're just being kept at death's door right now. They finally have broken in towards this A site. The door goes down, the plant to follow through eventually, but Heisey, he's just spotted out those toes of Texter, and he's going to have to be the one to hold it down, but he gets taken out. RDW lobs the little flash on through, finds the first, and in the 1 versus 1, Nizzy has the operator, the 0 points here for RDW, and he wide swings it, takes off his head, and finally, Order answer back.
Chaos in the first 20 seconds of the round, straight into a main control that from the shadows over from the side of Fisio was so big to get. No, actually, no, never mind. I was only just realizing he's just popped that back up. Yep, I swear, but no, hiding in wine, irrespective, having a drink, whatever it was, he did so well to be sitting in that position, and Order just one by one, swinging their way out.
So we can see in that round, right, that Texter finds the opening pick over towards short, and it's one of those instances where Order are generally a pretty passive team when they get that opening frag, right? The tendencies show that Texter likes to hold a little bit more control in those scenarios, but for them, they were feeling confident. They felt like they had the right read over towards A. Unfortunately, there were two bodies there from Fancy United. It's happening again again, Conky, but the
This
wide swing out from
time.
Physio. Yes, I can to get the trade onto Artie, but they can bring him back up.
Yeah, exactly. They've only dropped the null command there, but there is still 2 more members here. It's going to be the Resurrection to come out. Now they move on in. Disco can't quite get off the showstopper. They've still got Suka to deal with. Another through that nebula, and now this is again the risk. Do you walk one by one through this smoke, or do you try and recollect and move back out? That's what they've done. They've grabbed the spike, and they're holding on for space.
There's a lot of time that can be bought for Fancy United still as well. Prowler just got thrown into main from Suka to clear it out essentially, and the Haunt's going to back that up for all the info. So Fancy United, they can take a breath of fresh air. They can reset themselves on this defensive side right now to tend over towards B, where Order are currently going. And what do they have to break into this side? A smoke from Texter, Shroud Step utilized as well, the fragment in from RDW. They're just going to try and bully their way through this nebula at the moment, and it might look awkward, all things considered.
They've destroyed the rendezvous. That's actually big, but on the other side, do get spotted. Presence. Now they are moving out. It's a great shot there from Texter. At least they are all moving together, but Heisey very, very crispy on that shot as well on the defense. They do let RDW make his way down the lane. Texter still trying to find his fight in the shoulder, though. My God, you can't take these Angels. They're just making it so difficult. Nightfall goes through, and that's going to make it awkward. 20 seconds. Prowler also gets the spot. Does he have enough time? Don't think so. Suka's going to close it, and it all starts again from those couple of frags towards A main, where Order are fighting for territory, but Fancy United have closed the door.
And the tricky situation now that Order do present themselves is they don't have enough money to really invest fully into the last round of this half. So already the scales are tipping in the favor of Fancy United, and they're going to be, again, confident. You can see just the individual aim from Heisey there, able to decapitate Order. The shenanigans afoot over at that A side. Disco's showstopper gets shut down as well. It's really well team played and oriented for Fancy United at the moment. They've got everything that they could want going into this last round. Physio, he's got from the shadows if he needs to get over quickly to the other side of the map. So the opening frag is going to be huge, and again, I mentioned, it's Nizzy finding Ronski.
And straight out, walking out mid, straight through that dark cover, absolutely no respect right now. They know exactly how Order's playing, and Order have not been able to adapt, starting off 5-1 in this map so far, Komodo, on that attacker's side, but it seems like Fancy United have got the read. Heisey getting those shots, Disco goes down, and you know exactly what that is. I think it's going to be a 6-6 half once RDW does get found here. Maybe there's going to be a little bit of magic living up to the Order name, but I think it's just going to be that half time as it stands. Good shot, not quite the second. Doesn't have the spike though, long way from home, and yes, Akan's going to be able to close at half time.
6-all is the halftime score here indeed, of course, and that does set the stage for what we have here, but of course, we've got to flip it up. We've got to switch the sides, and before we even get towards that, we're going to throw it back over to the desk to see what they think so far about this match.
Thank you very much to our fellow casters, Komodo and Conky. Now, coming back to us, our first half there, we have seen a sort of a very dominant start from Order, but then the Rubik's Cube was finally kind of broken down there by Fancy United. It seems like they've been running away for many, many rounds. What do you think happened?
So I don't really think it was a dominating start from Order. I think they were just really, really fortunate on the buy round of Fancy United Esports, right? So that was a really good start from them. They managed to get a 4-0, but after that, I kind of felt like things fell flat for them. I think Fancy had a really good read on their plays. Yes, there were a couple of nice moments from RDW, for example, that kept them in the game, but overall, I kind of felt like Fancy seemed to be slowly getting in control.
You're right, and on the topic of getting in control, you've got to talk about this duel between Nizzy and Wonsky. Right now, Nizzy, I believe he's 4 or 5-0 when it comes to Angels against Wonsky, and this is including with Operators, Tour de Forces. It's just outclassing him.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned Nizzy because he kind of fell into his own just a few rounds in, right? You started to see him play very aggressively, get into positions that, you know, Order didn't expect, and it really didn't allow them any breathing room to get their own plays in.
You know, we were just wondering, what exactly can Suka bring to the table? And we saw exactly what he can bring. It was more than just giving utility to the team. It was more than just giving that support. But when he needs to step up, when he needs to be playing that hero moments, he really can bring it. And it's been absolutely sharp seeing those moments. And I would say, if I could put a head-to-head, I would put it between Suka and RDW.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. And I think I'm a little bit concerned about Order here. I think if they're not able to find any stable momentum coming into the next half, I think they'll be in a little bit of trouble, right? So getting that pistol win is a good way forwards. But overall, when it comes to those buy rounds, Fancy, they look fancy, and also at the same time, they look prepped. And against Order, you know, when you can't play your own game, it's a little bit tough.
For me, the turning point, Nizzy, that 1v2 round 9 against the Eco, that collateral with the Tour de Force, for me, I think that was where Fancy realised, okay, this is winnable. 6-6. I'm looking forward to this next half, Tash.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. Going back into the game for the second half. Let's go.
Momentum is the key. That's the one we've been talking about here, right? And I think it's exactly perfect. Now Fancy, they take those 5 consecutive rounds and drag their way into the attacking half. I think Order have got a lot to play for, and they really, really need to step up in this pistol.
But they've got the benefit of going on to the better side for them in Ascent right now. The defensive side has always been their stronger percentage side, and for Fancy United, it was defense as well, right? But coming away with 6 apiece, now that shifts towards Order's kind of betterment, I feel, going in toward this one. And again, we move on toward the pistol. Order had a phenomenal start, 5-1. We talk about it. It was a great start, rather. They get the bonus round. They have everything going for them. Then it sort of settled down. So now, if they can back that up again, it'd be great. But if Fancy United gets started, I do wonder if they're going to be able to close it. And there is the opener again.
That's the opening pick. Straight in, we see Ronski. The Ronski effect is very interesting beast, right? He's either first in with 4 or first in with 0. And sometimes that's what is kind of Order's kryptonite here and there, right? So that's exactly what we've seen here. Ronski tries to get that early space, and he does get taken. But I like this from RDW. Creeping his way out short, and he's got Texter in his back.
They've got to be careful if they get too proactive here, though, because if they're giving up a lot of control, giving up a lot of space over towards A main and focusing over towards short, they might get some misinformation, right? They haven't seen anything over in towards mid at the moment, and that's why Maple is trying to assist, but he gets caught out. Now the utils here, trades coming through from Fancy United, and in this player advantage that we are seeing for Fancy United, they're just able to shut it down in the end. A team ace to come on through, and that's pretty much like the best start you can have in a pistol, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like Order almost just walked straight into the crosshair, really. They see that retroactivity to try and get back in and have a bit of a look around, right? And that's exactly that opening pick we see from Ronski. But then already they just start funneling into these choke points that already Fancy United are locking down, and that looked like a very easy pistol round for Fancy United. The Vietnamese squad looking hot so far.
Well, they've got some guns to come forward in this new round, and for Order, it's just going to be onto what they had pretty much in the last one, right? So it's one of these rounds that you can kind of toss away to the edge. You've got your own big weaponry in the next round, but if you can get something happening, hey, you're going to be laughing with it, and on that get-go, the set play towards B main is actually rewarded. Yes, I can take him down.
Excellent paint shells to come out from Disco there, because they've invested in absolutely nothing here, Komodo, right? Just the classics, that free weapon, by the way, and just basically around the utility. Now they've taken control of this main with the dark cover at least, and that's actually starting to send them all the way around. Spike is dropped, but look at this position.
Yeah, Ronski has tucked himself in towards Wine, and with a nice bit of timing, that Headhunter, if he finds at least 1 frag here, that should shift Fancy United to be a little bit more cautious. The rotations with that B main control are really rapid over towards this A side now as well, and if Ronski does find anything here, it could really upset them, and there you go, the first one on towards Heisey, and backing out RDW now. This is looking like a new Order in this round.
Classic again, Australian Valorant, they're so confident when they've got absolutely nothing, and they're going up against rifles here, Komodo. It's insanity.
And information on the 0 point as well. They know that both players are still locked in towards this main position, and you just don't want to see an overextension. Don't get too overzealous and give Nizzy, give Suka a way back in toward this round.
Maple's all the way on the flank. They've got a perfect location. The dark cover's going to go in. They can't do anything. This is just horrible. 25 seconds, and you're just feeling the anxiety and the claustrophobia of Order wrapping around.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll break this one to being a misstep from Fancy United in this round, or a really good set play from Order in the beginning to get them started, right? C's paint shells is such a deadly combination to try and escape, and then, Ronski gets his pick, RDW gets his pick. It just is really flowing for them, and I mean, this is the ultimate end to the round, isn't it? They can't break into A. They've been very cautious of the flank, and now they start to come out. It's 1 frag to come through from Fancy United. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our first thrifty of the tournament.
I love this game. That's the most interesting round I've probably ever casted, I think, right? Like, not only, like, we've seen countless classic rounds be won, right? But for one where they almost look like they're going to just save in the second round of the map, like, that's insanity. Excellent stuff, I guess we can say, right? From Order, they finally sort of cracked the egg in this battle of Fancy United's round consistency. And to be able to have 4 alive, picking up those weapons as well. Look at this investment right now. 2 Vandals, a couple of Bulldogs, a Spectre as well for Disco. But proactivity from Order. Get the job done.
That script that was written that everyone was thinking existed, we've ripped it, we've burned it, we've tossed it to the side. Yep. But that's what makes Valorant interesting.
Exactly right.
It's a tricky beast. And actually, my eyes, they don't deceive me here. There's an Odin.
Ah, yes.
Maple's got an Odin.
Ah, yes. No Sova, but I guess, look, Fade does a similar thing. Getting that info, making sure that Haunt goes through B main, and that's exactly where he is going to be playing. So they are just holding on to it for now. It's a much more slow approach here this time from Fancy United. Order are happy to play the passive route, which I think is exactly what they need to do. If they get too far forward this time round, that could be where the demise leads in.
Yeah, Ronski, he's going to be the first instigator here, it does look like, by the positioning. And that's what I was going to say. Nizzy's probably going to be able to have his line on a pre-fire, and that Headhunter has done exactly that. I really want to see these percentages from Kremmer was saying later between the difference between Nizzy and Ronski, because I feel like it's just been 100% Nizzy at the moment with these frags. But in toward the A site, we do look to go, and RDW is a bit stuck.
Oh, he is, but he does get two! Very nicely done there. Yes, I can get the trade, but Nizzy tries to fire off that Headhunter, does narrowly miss, and Spike is dropped.
Yeah,
Sight is awkward. Suka's a long way away, but is Maple going to be ready for it? No, not at all. Luckily, there is going to be two alive that at least can leave it, but Disco's getting pretty hungry. Like, surely they know where their Spike is, right?
Yeah,
they can just sit and wait.
It doesn't matter at the moment. They're just hungry for the frag. They know where he is. The Odin's going to be tossed out because it's a pretty lofty investment to come in.
Gotta be careful, man.
The Classic is doing classic things. There's no time to get the Spike and plant, but Disco, he could have his life out. He needs to tuck in. He needs to hide behind the generator. Suga is going to go for the hunt. Is he going to tap it and fake it? The Prowler's going to go out, and Disco finds some nice timing. These rounds, we go from a thrifty to nearly a reversal thrifty.
Oh, I can just imagine everyone at home watching right now from an
sigh of relief?
Australian sign. No, right? No, the heart palpitations.
Yes.
It's the classic of trying to be an Oceanic Valorant fan in a round like that. But irrespective, right? They get the job done. It doesn't matter. Credit to Fancy United because they've managed to get the space, get the control, catch Order off guard in a lot of spots. And again, I have to double down. The Ronski effect is not in the good version right now. It's in the version where he's losing the duels first a majority of the time.
Well, maybe it switches up now. He's got an operator. You got Maple there with the Odin, which isn't going to be B-mean spammed, you would expect from him at the moment. It's sort of spreading around the map for Order. They're playing very just, sort of one-dimensional, right? But there's that shot from Ronski. Can't rendezvous. 0 point got him. So he's only on for one.
At least it's a one and done, though, in this position. He's got locked in. Now they know they are making their way through market. Disco on a great line. Paint shells can go out as well to give him a bit more space, but that's a great paranoia. Actually catches him on the distance, and Maple hasn't been having a great game. He's going to go down. Now Texter has to pick up. He gets one, but Fizio, Omen versus Omen, gets the trade. Now RDW on that flank position, but it's all going to be onto him. He does have the null command popped and the flash drive fragment going out. He's using all that utility to absolute perfection, but he can't quite connect. And whilst the damage is down, it's Fancy to tie it up again 8-8.
Yeah, there was a lot of instances there for Order where players caught out with utility. Maple over at the lane got overwhelmed when the Prowler was out. Paint shells from Disco going for a little bit of a challenge, gets blinded as well by Paranoia. So it's a little bit of those situations where maybe Order weren't expecting such a change in pace. The haste to come through from Fancy United. But Fancy United, it's great, right? They get that round on the board. They survive with 2 players in the end, which is, it's okay narrowly. But coming into this next one, I mean, if you are Order, you want to be balancing out economy. They've got a little bit of change on the back of this one still.
Big thing is, RDW is doing so much heavy lifting. If he doesn't get any support sometime soon, that's where it's all going to start to sort of wrap its way around. So, need to see more. But Ronski, back with the tour de force, he's going to be looking for a fight early towards Tiles.
3 revealed on the 0 point toward A. So that's giving Ronski some... What's the word I'd look for here? Some confidence to go over towards a mid.
Mate, he's got that. You could bottle it up and sell it with the Ronski confidence.
Yeah, maybe.
Slap a label on it.
Maybe you would need to be careful, though, because the confidence is shaky here.
Yeah, sometimes the bottle might have a hole in it.
Yeah,
leaking
crack,
out.
Yeah.
That's okay. But yeah, Fancy have been really impressing me so far. I've got to admit, they've got some really good team dynamic. Their utility usage has been fantastic. Suka seems to be slotting in really well on that fade.
Yeah.
Being able to play a role that might not be your actual usual is a huge thing to do.
So information down through the guts of mid at the moment for Order is not really there. Dark cover, blinded vision. They don't know if anyone's in market at the moment. They're going to have a bit of a peek over, see what they can do. The big thing in this round is there's an opening to A and towards B, depending on what Nizzy can find here or what Fizio can get over towards A. The thing is, though, the spike is going up short, so it would be really, really good for them to start to get activated towards A, and with that null command, that's exactly what's happening.
Straight on through. Looks like they've got their eyes on the prize towards this A site here. Moving through short. That Nebula is going to give them some space. And look, realistically, they should be able to find the site nice and easily. Door is going to be closed to Texter. He's going to deny that very, very quickly. Is an awkward spot. Reload, getting caught. Suka, yes I can, getting those entries in. And now it's awkward. Now the fight is really, really tough here. Maple trying to send out some utility. The Haunt over the top. Suka tagged up. That's the 145 in one from that Sheriff. A dastardly position to be found in. But now looking to push through. Disco gets one. Yes I can with the trade. 2 on 3. 3 here, having to lock down this position. Flash drive goes through, but yes, I can. This guy is an animal. RDW, does he have more in him? Not quite. Heisy's going to close it, and that's a round, and Fancy United taking the lead back.
Indeed, taking it on 9-8, and with that change that Order did have, you know, they're going to be able to at least get something happening in this new round. The tour de force from Ronski as well, pretty much absent in that previous round, so really unfortunate for him to really just be punished time and time again, right? It almost feels, not so much the Fancy United are really gunning for him, but that's kind of just how things have been happening here, and as you mentioned it, RDW really trying to just lift his team on his shoulders with all these frags, with all the assistive flashes as well. A prime example of when that action is coming to him, he is able to bunker down and do things, but we need to see a little bit more to come through from the likes of Maple at the moment, who's just been on the other side of the action time and time again. And as you mentioned, a bit of damage to come through from the showstopper, but apart from that, it's really nothing.
At least it's something, though. They've managed to force them out of A main, and now that teleport coming in, that from the shadows from Fissio, he's straight into that boat shed. Classic Omen play. Now are they going to be able to make their way out?
Yeah,
Straight
Ronski
again.
Ronski
Taken down. Didn't have that position available at all. Now Suka's here. Paranoia is great, but there's just no space. Texter has to brute force his way through market, and they've just done all of the damage. They're dropping like flies. Order have got nothing, and Fancy United just dominating the space again.
I wonder what happened with Ronski there as well. From the shadows back to the back of B site, and usually you've got in your mind, all right, we see a little bit of info over towards B main early. We've got A main control. Does it click in your mind to think, all right, he's probably gone to TP back there, but Ronski, he's kind of just stuck in no
there
man's
was just
land on
so
the
much
side,
that he had to
right?
focus on, you know,
exactly.
B main as well, like that control coming through. He tries to swing, maybe take the duel, maybe take that control, but as soon as that Nebula goes down, it just makes it so awkward. And once again, Fancy, they've done so well. We see the big difference here is the hesitancy from Order to take position as a unit through some smoke utility, right? Fancy will just bust straight through because they're confident with their utility that goes out that they can get the space in.
So back on towards Sheriff's pistols here for Order. Texter immediately down, and Heisy's kind of just rolling over them at the moment. It's firing range for him. Disco, yeah, he's going to be good for one. This round, you kind of maybe throw it to the wayside unless we see the rest of the Order boys get back into it. It'll have to be Maple for the remaining 3. But that's where Fancy United now are presumably going to be finding 11 rounds, and there's really only a little small window for Order to try and get back into that, right? They've got guns in the next round, but after that, it's forcing if they drop it.
Yeah, correct. 13 is all it takes to win out this map. And Ascend, Order's map pick, you know, moving into Fracture. Fracture's an interesting map, I got to admit. You know, it's definitely a strange one to see it sort of fall into it here. I reckon Fracture's kind of where we've seen Fancy United push down on the fact that they may be confident against this. You know, Order not so many reps on that position, but irrespective, Maple just looking to do damage here, try to take some more weapons away. The money's not fantastic for Fancy, but still certainly a way ahead. There is an opportunity for Order to strike back if they do at least get something more in this next round, but all eyes onto what will be the 20th.
Yeah, timing, there's one, but it's only going to be that one and done. So some damage done for Order for sure, but that was kind of how that round was, I guess, expected to turn out, right? So 11-8, we're going to have guns be brought up for Order in this round. And I would kind of like to see another set play, right? They were able to just gather a lot of control over towards A main. They've been doing a great job of that on the back of some utility as well. But do we sort of see risks being taken at the 99th percentile in this one now?
Definitely a hard thought to make. But all we know is a couple of members really stepping up to that plate. Order, RDW, you know, the one, again, who has been slotting into basically whatever role the team kind of needs him to play. And that's definitely been his thing in all the rosters he's been a part of.
A very big lobbed 0 point, which unfortunately can't get destroyed. But didn't tag anyone up, so bit of misinformation around A at the moment. Great reveal to come through from RDW. It's very similar structured default for Fancy United. Bit of Heisey action to be left to his own devices. Rest of the squad waiting for a full execute over at the A side.
How's Ronski going to go? Tucked in the corner once more. The Nightfall will dodge him. That fragment is fantastic to at least keep them at bay. Ronski, he's actually seen Physio's walk straight in. The Prowler, though, he's going to make it awkward. RDW drops one, Texter another. It's on to Suka to see what he can do, but here we go. That's the Order you need to see in a matchup like this. Heisey's last standing, and yes, I can. He's been chipping away in that null command.
Yeah, he's fading away at the moment. Will be taken down in the end. RDW to capitalize on that kill, and for Heisey, he's going to be able to find one. Finally, Ronski getting a couple kills in the action, but I've got to say, man, the immediate shutdown that Order throw. What we see the Nightfall, we see the 0 point, the Haunt, the Fragment, all being utilized from Fancy United together, and what stopped them from going into the site? RDW's Fragment at main. The one piece of utility pretty much upset the balance there.
Who would win? A battle of Fancy United or one Nady boy? And in this moment, great time utility usage from RDW again is exactly what gets it done. And I like that this time around from Ronski. You know, he did sit inside a piece of utility. I'm not sure if it was a dark cover that was thrown down, but you know, managing to hide there for just long enough, not overextending, and just waiting for the team to come in. They locked it down immediately. They were ready for the rotation, and they were able to close it out.
I don't want to overanalyze it, but that dark cover placement almost feels like Fisio wanted to Shrouder step into the dark cover, but the 0 point popped him, so he couldn't. And then, RDW kind of a little bit lucky that he finds that and then gets bit by the Prowler, relocates, and he's still alive at the end of it. But regardless, a great opportune time for Fancy United to use this timeout here just to make sure they can get everything back into their own cells, settle down a little bit, because, you know, crucial rounds, we're getting toward the later stages of this map. I kind of teetered on the edge of my predictions, saying that we might get overtime in a sense, and everyone was kind of like, nah, but I mean, maybe.
Yeah. I guess the big thing to sort of take away from this position right now is look at Fancy United's kill disparity, right? Everyone is stepping up to the plate. Everyone's had individual big plays. And, you know, we've even seen Heisey walking around just running and gunning for a 3K right on that Astra. But over the other side, Order, much more spread. Maple yet to activate. He's a key member. You know, we've seen him absolutely pop off in some of these games, and we need all Order members firing.
Well, this looks like a bit of an early allotted play for information over at the B site. Always have to be careful with the Odin spray. That you're not going to get taken down back on the reverse side of the wall. But for now, just a bit of a utility investment, see if they can peel Order from that A site over towards B. But they're happy to sit there at the moment. You've got Texter sitting in wine, RDW on the site for the short line, and it really does feel like at the moment Order are waiting to see what Fancy United are throwing at them, and it's a bit more structured of a default at the moment.
Seas goes down. Ronski's got to be careful here, though. There is 2 members. I know he's trying to find his fight on the Yes I Can, but again, he stepped in, and it's the first death. Once more for Ronski, does go down early, and that sort of puts a lot of these Order members back up against the wall right now. Look how split they are. They're trying to take control of A main. We've got a member in wine, but also sitting at the back of B.
It has to be a position for Order to try and get some information right now. They can rely on the Nightfall from Maple at the back of B to try and buy some time if Fancy United do get in toward there, but they themselves don't really feel like they've got a bit of a plan at the moment. 40 seconds, they start to trend over towards this A site, which means that the rotation for Order has to come over to here early as well, because you cannot leave really Texter and RDW to try and hold down this fort against 5 hungry Fancy United members.
Man, it's going to be so tough right now. Now all that information, the utility starts to run free, and the Prowler doesn't go in deep enough. I don't think it is. That's an excellent flash, but Heisey, he's ready for it now. Will they overlook Texter? They have to clear out wine. I don't think they're looking at all. No utility. Patience, a virtue, but he does get one. Now they turn. Paranoia goes in. Heisey with the ration spray. Now he has to get around his fragment, though. It's awkward. It's awkward. It's awkward.
He denied it.
You are a monster. And now to 1-on-1. 5 seconds. They just have to wait. Maple just runs away. Maple runs away. He's won the round. Texter, take a step, take a bow, because you are the moment man in this round.
When you need a leader to step up, whether it be on the communications, whether it be in the server fragging, Texter has just done everything you could ask for from your captain. The patience in wine when RDW pops himself with the flash to try and get the pick, realizing that he died, right?
Yeah.
If Texter threw his paranoia, the jig is up. They know he's there, but he bunkered down. He went patient with it, and the reward from that round is a 10th for Order.
And this is the perfect time. The plant-based mastermind himself in Texter does relax, and I'm assuming Coach Dick Stacey has called for that pause as well to relax, because if you get a moment like that and potentially start to overhype your position, right, that's when it all can start to really fall down. So I think awesome moment to see what we've just seen. The rotation was in quick, and they managed to really overwhelm Fancy United in this moment. That is one of the sharpest and best rounds that we managed to see from Order so far, and if that's a tune of what we're going to see in this series, hoping to lean towards your prediction of overtime, my friend.
Well, maybe.
We wanted 3 maps, right? And that's exactly what we've got to have, because, ladies and gentlemen, I remind you all, it's double Elim, but the winner goes to Champs.
To meet with Paper X, to meet with Xerxia and the rest of the world's best.
And look, now Paper X second in the world, Asia kind of on top, baby. They're looking good.
Yes, but the question is, who is the next?
Yeah, exactly right. Cerberus a little bit slower in the previous Masters, just gone. You know, we saw some action from them in Masters #1 this year. And before that, you know, we saw last year, we saw Team Secret doing some big things. So there's some talent around. It's just how it gets molded, how it gets pushed forward. And I think leadership has been a big part of this.
During that timeout, Fancy United to buy or not to buy. And they are going with the former. A bit of info from Maple. And the shot's out. And no real damage to come through. So again, you know, similar from how the last round started with this B-main little presence, but then peeling away. You do have RDW and Texter back over towards A again, so maybe they put a little bit more utility to try and clear out wine. Texter does that from the shadows, so he can get out.
4 members this time. Absolutely ready for it. If Order continue to play the same setups, it's going to get really, really awkward. RDW, it's going to be that same underarm flash, I'm sure.
How far do they get, though?
Exactly. They're looking to make this space. That Seize does go down. Texter might actually pop from the shadows. He's looking to do it.
Playing anti.
Is he? What's going to happen? There's that flash coming in. They are ready, but they're not ready enough. Now the fragment goes in. Now they can get out, but RDW getting one with that fragment. Now he can start to step out, and RDW, my God, an animal inside main, and now he's got more. The Prowler a third, straight through it, looking into the adversity, and Suka has nothing at hand. 8 HP, Disco will swing, getting the job done, and Heisey, you got to step up, my friend. There's 4 enemies ahead of you.
Man, they've done it again. They've held down the fort of A, and now they're hungry to try and finish it up. It's going to be the trade in the end. We're tied up 11 apiece. We're having full rounds of regulation played. We get all of them. Oh boy, Order. They're holding on.
Stepping up to be a series, man. You know, I thought X-Warrior had it perfect, right? Order kind of had a... I don't think it was exactly lucky, but like, again, a really sort of good start, right? Solid, good foundations, but Fancy United kind of lagging behind. Fancy United got their momentum, they picked up, and they were like, hang on a minute, we're actually probably better than Order in our minds, right? We're going to take it back to them. And they just dominated straight back to a 6-6. So Order have only really seemed to truly awaken in this current half.
The individual duels that Fancy United are winning look so much better against Order, but the teamwork that Order have been putting in the later stages of this defensive side, they're just looking really, really well placed at the moment.
An obvious change we've seen so far. There's Ronski, finally the opening pick. Chamber diff, we see it. Ronski, Nizzy getting punished because Nizzy was such an impactful member on that previous half.
Nizzy still does have the crown on his head, though.
He does,
so he's still going to be there. But a little bit of, salt to the wound now that Order have tied it up, and finally Ronski does find that opening pick.
Just the eco, though, right? Just the eco. We'll call it that for now.
We'll see how this one does turn out. But for Order, they are desperately chasing this vault at the moment, and the shots from Vicio. This is where things get risky. Smokes are down now for Order. And RDW with the signature almost at this point. Little pop flash to get out in towards the main area, but he could get overwhelmed. Short is a position that they're coming from as well. Look at the bamboozle. That is brilliant from Vicio. Disco has to try and hold down the paint shells into the mix as well. Utility usage, my friends, on a duelist is paramount to locking things down at times, and it's a 4K to come out from Disco 2.
And you know what that is? That's map point, map number 1, and it's the Ascent pick from Order. Not something that we usually see them like massively lean into here. You know, they're trying some different things. It's that different agent composition. You know, we're finally seeing Texter back onto that smoke again. A position where I really do think, an agent like that can kind of very much, drive the pace of your team and be the one that sort of gives that position and gives that space. But Disco stepping up, his experience is long in this region, as a whole. And all of a sudden, Order somehow take this lead. Fancy United really need to fight for it. Like, having to take an eco at 11-11 is such a disheartening position. Can they take it to overtime here,
Komodo? And that's going to be one of the big things, right? Because 6-6, you got everything you wanted on both sides of the map. You're very even. So overtime is almost that 50-50 gamble. It's the coin flip, right? So we'll wait and see if that is going to eventuate here, because everybody's got the equipment. Everybody's got what they want coming in towards this round. And what is the difference looking like in terms of the ultimates? Well, we've got a little bit more on the side of Order. The Null Command is there. You've got the Showstopper from Disco. Very big round-turning ults.
Well, this time round, I feel like Order have given much more space, right? You've seen Disco just sort of playing it a little bit further back, watching mid, jump spotting over in towards the market position. But now they've been given that mid control, and will it be a split towards B? We'll have to find out. They take the control. Trademark will find them, so that'll keep them at bay for a little while. Now the paint shell sends them back too. So 50 seconds left. They've used a lot here, Fancy, to try and take this space, and they've got not much of it.
If they do go towards A, they are going to have to contend with a Null Commander. You would presume RDW would pop early. Texter from the shadows to B if he needs to. But this just encircling over at this A site right now. The door's getting closed very late, which is actually something very interesting for Order. They give themselves a lot of space, but now that space is closing.
Gonna have to break through that door. It is gonna keep Disco at bay for just a little while. The road bullets aren't gonna quite connect, but Texter, he will certainly connect with one, but now it's Ardy straight through, walking and talking with that Phantom, getting a shot through. Ronski to join Heisey, has to step up big for his team now. RDW still here, but that is going to be the, oh my God, is it enough? No, RDW holds on. The utility, not quite enough. 5 seconds, Maple. Do you peek? Do you find? He's gonna drop down, he's gonna get into the face, actually on top, and Maple, he will connect straight from the top there. And I got to admit, the utility was so hard to keep up with in that position, but Order's going to be able to find map number 1, their selection of Ascent Komodo, and that is exactly what the Aussie fans at home are going to be wanting. But I got to admit, man, what a stellar opening to the LCQ.
Yeah, man, what a chaotic finish to that round as well, right? You see just how much time was left at the end of that one. You see just how close it was being. RDW take a bow in that round again with that Bulldog just getting all the shots that you could probably want. The hot potatoing, actually the Phantom rather, I'm losing my marbles about the end of that one, but just the repositioning from him, perfect timing of the null command again, and you think for a sliver of a moment that the spike can go down, that you think Fancy United might be able to get this one back. It would be a big play to come from them, but it doesn't happen. Maple, he's able to close it. He had a bit of an underwhelming performance, I got to say, on this map, but at least able to win the round where it mattered the most.
2 1v1 clutches from Maple, right? No big numbers, nothing crazy, no multi-frags, but to be able to close down 2 pivotal rounds to shut it down and keep Fancy United out. And it all came from that classic round, right? That was where they got their momentum back, and all of a sudden, Order was like a beast had been awoken, and Texter, that denial of the spike. What I've got to admit, the thing is, it felt like Order really had to throw out all the stops.
Oh, yeah.
And in the rounds that Fancy United were winning, they were dominant. So Order, they need to be careful about how they go, but we'll find out. We'll wrap it up with the analysts shortly after this break.